It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault 18 Mental Health Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and in today's episode, we are rounding out our series on the book, Reclaiming Youth at Risk. Here it is right here, Reclaiming Youth at Risk. We've been going through this book over the last several episodes, and today's will be the last episode on it as we round out the framework for the book. Now, if you're not familiar with the book, this is an older book. This is something I've shared a few times. I've read this book when I was back in grad school. It was eons ago, eons ago. I know I look young, but I'm getting old. I'm getting old. But it was a book that really hit home for me. It really highlighted some things that really touched what I probably needed as a young person and what I was seeing in the work that I was doing at the time. And I was able to take a lot of what was in this book and apply it to many of the things that I've done since that degree in psychotherapy. So it's an amazing book, and I wanted to bring it here to the podcast to share with all of you because I think you can take elements of this, apply it into your personal life in the work you do with young people, as well as applying it to your professional life and any work that you do with young people as well. So it's a great text, it's a great book. Highly recommend it. Pretty easy to find, pretty cheap as well. The book is almost 30. I think it is 30 years old actually. It's pretty old. It's almost old as me. Awesome. But anyway, to round out today's podcast, we are going to cover the last element of that framework, and that element is generosity. Generosity. And what we're going to title this podcast is Generosity, Helping Adolescents Find Purpose Through Giving. During the adolescent years, those are usually times where young people are the most selfish. They are the most selfish that they've ever been. Even sometimes even more selfish than when they're toddlers. Toddlers are very selfish creatures. And I say creatures for a reason because there's a development and a nature that's there where it's mine, give it to me, me, give me attention. They soak up all that energy because they're really just trying to figure out, their opposition, not opposition, but their disposition in the world. They're trying to figure out just how they stand, and they have a lot of needs and things that they can't do when they're younger. But when you get to the adolescent stage, that's where it gets interesting because this is where they're developing identity. And when your identity's been development, you're still doing the same thing as Tyler. You're still trying to figure out your kind of position in the world, but it's more in a point, you're starting to develop more survival on your own skills, and that can look very, very selfish. So this area I always found very interesting in the framework because it's talking about finding your purpose in giving, and this comes from that native philosophy as well, which is what this framework is built on. So in the book, Reclaiming Youth at Risk, Our Hope for the Future, the authors Bentiro, Broken Leg, and Van Bacheren introduced the Circle of Courage. That's the framework that I was talking about, the Circle of Courage. And that what the Circle of Courage is a strength-based youth development framework that's rooted in indigenous wisdom or native philosophies, another way to say that, and supported by modern resilient research. And what that is things like adverse childhood experiences, epigenetics, a lot of that, even a lot of the grit studies, a lot of that's built around what we call today resilient research. So generosity is one of the four pillars of that framework, and ultimately generosity is the human desire to contribute to others and live a life of purpose. So while the world often paints adolescence as a time of self-focus, the authors reveal a deeper truth. Young people thrive when they feel that they have something valuable to give. Generosity fosters a sense of meaning, belonging, and empowerment. And this is a vital ingredient for young people's mental wellness. I'm going to put a modern day spin on this because what I'm sharing with you all is, a lot of the wisdom from this actual book. But this book was written before the internet was a big, expansive thing. And we know that the internet has had a huge impact on all of us, but especially on the mental well being and the development of young people. And I think that even with the internet and the problems that the internet has caused with youth development, This generosity looks different. It plays out differently. It plays out differently. I think the core pieces are still there, but how it plays out is different. The application. So what is generosity? Generosity in the circle of courage is more than donating money or volunteering. It's for others, knowing that one's action, time, words, and care can make a difference. It answers the questions so many adolescents wrestle with. Do I matter? I believe in old episodes, I've been doing this podcast for quite some time. I've talked about something called the universal goal. The universal goal. It's somewhat of a theory of mine built off of an Adlerian theory. I just built my own perspective on a core theory from Alfred Adler. I can't speak today, apparently. And in that universal goal, I talk about everyone strives for three things: security, significance, and belonging. And this is why this book stood out to me because as I was playing with that theory, this book came into my hands and I was like, "Oh, this lines up well with my theory that I have." And this specific area of generosity and that wrestling with that question of do I matter falls right in along with significance. Why do I matter? What makes me matter in this world? Why am I important? Who am I? What am I doing here? Is this life even worth living? What do people think about me? Why do people care? Why do I care? These are all questions that burn through young people's minds all the time. And when I bring in the social media element, this is what ends up happening is these questions, they're using the tools online to answer these questions or to attempt to answer these questions. This is why you see them, in various different chats and groups and developing identities and developing, different types of circles. And they're using all these tools, social media, apps, everything to play this out. That why do I matter? They're seeking significance. That's what's happening. And it's important for us to realize that and to make sure that that just does not stay online. And I'm not going to make this whole podcast about online, but it is a huge factor in all of our lives today, especially our young people. My child right now, my 12-year-old, she doesn't have her summer program right now. She's on a device. She's probably on two devices actually. She's probably on her phone and her iPad at the same dang time. Yeah, the same. But she has screen time right now. So this is what she's earned. She's earned it. She's done enough chores. She's doing well in her program. So she gets a little screen time right now. Do I have to still monitor that? Absolutely. But could she just be on one screen? Sure. But she's going to maximize her screen time and she's going to be on two screens. She's probably got some music going on her phone. She's probably got some game on her tablet. And she's probably got some other social situation, some text or something on the side where she's talking to her friend group at the same time. So this stuff is happening. This stuff is happening. And as she's doing this right now, she's playing with the idea of why do I matter? Why do I matter to these people? How good can I be at this game? You know, what is this music doing for my spirit? She's in her room right now. She's probably like, I want to be closed off from my family. They're getting on my nerves. I need my me time, which a lot of teens need as well, even though they are social beings. They need their time. So, anyway, enough about my kids. Let's get back into the content. So, rather than emphasizing the external rewards or achievements, generosity shifts the focus inward and outward. Who am I becoming? And what can I offer to others? Who am I becoming? And what can I offer to others? Why is generosity vital for adolescent mental health? Well, mental health is not about being absent of stress or illness. This is something that I just can't emphasize enough. I need to talk about this more. Sorry, not even mental wellness. Mental well-being is not the absence of stress or illness. We really have to ingrain that into our brains. I think we live in a world where absolutes are important to people. I think it's one of our logical fallacies. Not one of the actual logical fallacies. I think this is just a socialization fallacy, is where we feel like we have to have absolutes. But I don't believe in absolutes. I'm more of a gray area type of guy. But a lot of people believe in black and white. It's either this or that, and I'm like, I'm more into the gray. I'm more into the gray. So, mental well-being is not just about the absence of stress or illness. It's also about feeling useful, connected, and hopeful, which again, we notice when young people's mental health goes the wrong direction. They don't feel connected, they don't feel useful, and they don't feel helpful or hopeful for that matter. Generosity helps teens develop those feelings by a few different things. Listen to these five things. This is what generosity helps young people develop: providing a sense of identity and meaning. Generosity increases self worth and empathy. Generosity reduces isolation, anxiety, and depression. Generosity promotes resilience through purpose driven behavior. And generosity strengthens community ties and what we call emotional safety. If I'm connected and I know that people care about me, I feel more comfortable. If I feel more comfortable, I feel more safe. If I feel more safe, I'm more secure. I feel like I matter. I feel like I belong. It's a cycle. When young people feel that their lives have significantly, or sorry, when young people feel that their lives have significance beyond themselves, they are less likely to engage in risky behavior and more likely to seek out healthy relationships and strive towards their goals. This is a very, very key piece of the framework. Generosity is something that I think we all need to start thinking about. How do we build these characteristics or these muscles of generosity into our children so to help them move forward? And that's what I'm going to talk about next. So, what can you do as a parent or caregiver or even a youth worker that can foster that generosity in the young person? You know me, I like to always give you at least 6 steps. Here are my six on how to do that as we get ready to close out today's podcast. So, generosity does not need to be forced, it can be modeled. I always talk about modeling behaviors, it can be encouraged. All children need encouragement. Encouragement to a child is like water to a flower, and it can be cultivated in everyday life. And here's how. Number one, model giving everyday life. Model giving in everyday life. I'll say it one more time because I messed it up the first time. Model giving in everyday life. Let adolescents, young people, see you help other people. That doesn't mean that you have to donate money to every homeless person you see that's panhandling or, they're asking for money. But that generosity, that model, let me help you, that's very important. One of the things that I realized, I did this naturally, and I didn't even, I didn't know that my kids were making fun of me. And I was like, that's not actually a bad thing, but they think it's hilarious. But my kids notice when I interact with strangers, if they do something, if they give me something, if we go to a drive-through line or someone holds the door, or maybe somebody, we may be at a park and somebody says, "Hey, you dropped something," or "Hey, do this," or whatever. If there's an interaction between me and a stranger, and I just naturally do this, I always say, "Thank you, I appreciate that," or "I appreciate you," and my kids have picked up on that, and apparently this is a little inside joke amongst themselves because one day they were like, let's act like that. Like, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. And they were making fun of me. But I was like, wait a minute, that's not a bad thing. But what I was doing just naturally is I was modeling kindness. I was modeling community involvement, and I was modeling a way to communicate to somebody else that their actions were meaningful to myself, and I appreciate it. And I think that is something we can always do. So it's gotten to a point now where they'll like we're in a car or something and something happens. I might be talking to somebody out of a window and they'll be in the back or next to me now that my 12-year-old's a little bigger, she can sit in the front. They'll be like, "Oh, watch me." Like, "I appreciate you, I appreciate you." And then they're chuckling, and then I'm like, "Oh, I don't even want to say it now." It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. All right, let's get to these things. I'm running out of time in the podcast. Okay, there's five more things to cover. So that first one was model giving in everyday life. Number two, acknowledge their contributions. Acknowledge their contributions. So when teens show kindness, responsibility, support to one another, notice it. You can say things like, I saw how you helped that friend of yours. Thanks for showing up like that. Recognize and reinforce the identity as someone who makes a difference. Like they're doing something that they need to be doing. Give them that salute. They deserve it. They deserve it. Create opportunities to give. So support involvement in service learning projects, family volunteer days, peer mentoring, or community leadership. Anytime they're engaging in something positive, give them that recognition and support. Let them lead in the areas that they care about. Very important. Number four, connect generosity to belonging. To belonging. Back to the model, right? So giving us giving as part of being a part of a community. Messages like, in our family, we look out for each other, or your gifts help others feel seen. Connect generosity to identity and group membership and how they are collected. Another thing that I do, I always talk about, as Joneses, we do this, Joneses, we do that, Joneses don't do this, Joneses do. And I say that so that they know that in this family, this is how we behave, and this is how you're supposed to represent us when you're outside. So when I'm not around or your mom's not around, you're Jones at the end of the day. And that means something to them to be the Jones girls, as they are often called by family members. Um, what was it? Oh, I'm losing track. All right, number five, encourage purpose-based exploration. So ask them, what problems in the world make you want to act? How do you want to be remembered? Help them explore their passions and values as sources of motivation and giving back. This usually works a little better with older children or children that probably are a little bit more mature for their ages, helping them kind of see that forward direction. If you do this with 12, 13, 14-year-olds, chances are they can be like, I don't know, they're just trying to figure it out and live day to day. But those 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they should be able to start answering those questions for sure. And then the last one is respect emotional boundaries. So true generosity is rooted in freedom, not obligation. Make sure that teens don't feel guilty into giving or burned out by it. Teach them that self-care is part of sustaining their capacity and care for others. And then my final thoughts on this as we close up the podcast. Adolescents need more than discipline and direction. We always go to discipline and direction. They need more than that. You can't just beat everything into them or take things away from them to get them to behave the way that you want them to. It's not going to work. They need to feel seen, and they need to have a sense of meaning. As Reclaiming Youth at Risk shows us, generosity helps youth understand that they are not only worthy of love, but capable of offering it to others. It transforms the internal pain into purposeful action, and it turns disconnected teens into compassionate leaders. That's the hope, or at least compassionate people. Everybody won't be a leader, but they can still have compassion. So when parents, caregivers, and youth workers nurture the spirit of giving within a foundation of belonging and love, they offer young people the chance to discover the deepest truth of all, which is you are needed in this world. Yes, they do. All right, folks. That's conclude. I hope that this podcast was helpful. I hope that I was able to give you an aha moment or at least an eyebrow raise, like, hmm. I am Brandon Jones. This is It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. If you liked today's episode, there are three things that I would encourage you to do. The first thing is check us out on our Facebook page. Go to Facebook, go to the search bar, put in It Is Not Your Fault podcast. You can find old episodes, great resources, and information like this right there on the Facebook page. That is It Is Not Your Fault podcast on Facebook. The second page, if you want to reach out to me or get connected, all you have to do is go to my website, www.jegna.org. That's jegna.org. Check us out right there, jegna.org. You can send me a message. You can learn more about me and what I do right there at jegna.org. And then the third place, if you like me, you're probably going to like the other podcasters on our network. That network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Again, ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com, where you'll get myself and a plethora of other amazing podcasters right there on the network. So be sure to check us out. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Three things that I'm going to also leave you with is be safe, be well, and wait, that's not it. Messing up my own ending. What am I doing? No, I'm just joking. Be safe, be constructive, and be well. And until next time, take care of yourself. Peace.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault, or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
To keep my home running smooth, I count on Xfinity Internet. With 99.9% reliability, we're all online at once. No slowdowns. The Xfinity app lets me manage our Wi-Fi and keep things secure. Xfinity makes it easy.